same energy. Work on being better when I'm 70. Your drip is just a water spring. You know I drip different, this is 7 seas. I deal with life different, make that lemon squeeze. Went off for my style and identity. Better bounce back and get the cheddar cheese. I guess that's why they envy me. On track, now we going way up. W's is easy.
Yo, what is up? What is up? What is up, y'all? Man, it is so cool to sit here and see in the beginning of all this that we have Monk Custom and Speedsoft Australia. We got Phil in here. Man, it is cool to see y'all in the chat, you know, pre-video. That is really cool. The anticipation to show up and want to come see us. I really appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all's support on this. I always do. And of course, y'all seen the hype that I've been giving up. We got Fivves with us today, and I'm super excited about talking with this guy. Well, with him himself, make sure at any given time, go down in the description, go give this guy a follow on Instagram. Great content, always posting good stuff, so make sure y'all give him a follow. But yeah, man, we're going to get this conversation going, see what goes on. Feel free to ask some questions or anything like that. We'll try to answer what we can, but at the same time, you know, we're just going to vibe out and just chill. But nonetheless, man, let me bring him over here, click on to him real quick, and I'm going to hand it off to you real quick, man. Fivves, who are you, my man? Tell me something about yourself.
Yo, thanks for having me first. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I'm Fivves from the EU team ATSB, which is a German team. I'm the team captain, founder of the team, which is around there already from 2018 right now. And yeah, playing Pro Div in EU here, which is the highest league at the moment. And yeah, taking care about the scene. Obviously, I had some setbacks with the team, but always managed to come back, and now we are on the way to the top, basically.
That's exciting. That's aggressive. He said we're on our way to the top. I love it. So how long have you been in the pro league? You say the guy you picked up in 2018, was he already in the pro league in 2018?
Oh no, hell no. In 2018, there wasn't even something like SpeedQB or Speedsoft in general in Germany, where I'm from. And yeah, just started it there. And I wasn't technically the first guy who played like the Speedsoft style on CQB fields, but I was kind of the first guy to reach out to the internet, to Instagram and YouTube, to post montages and all that stuff, and to raise some awareness for that. And back then my dream was traveling to Tech City and to play with the big boys. And it just took 1 year. Then Bert from SpeedQB EU started the whole thing over here in the Netherlands. Mm-hmm. And since then I've been playing there with the team and playing every tournament that's possible. And ProDiv actually showed up last year, so that was a new thing to have 2 leagues, not just one big league. And yeah, we made it to ProDiv, and also we're staying there for this year.
That's exciting. It really is. Just even to hear is just because we've had so many chats about it. Just like, man, but we've been small-minded on it, and I unfortunately, I mean, I have to admit it, you know, because we was like, what counts as a, you know, our train of thinking, what was pro division when we thought about it over here, and we just had so many scenarios to it, and it's just, you know, because we ain't got the divisions, we ain't got, you know, Division 1, 2, no pro league, nothing like that. So it's like, it's so interesting to sit there and look over at EU and be like, man, look what they got going on over there, man. Like, this is a well-oiled machine. This is working great. And love to see that kind of vibe touch down over here. So it's good to be in y'all's shadow to try to, I mean, y'all seem to have it going on. What we, you know, are looking forward to, that we want to do, and see how it goes. Tristan, I see you in here. Houdini, I see you in here. Melon, I see you in here. Voorhees, of course, Spiffy's sitting right over there. Marcus, appreciate you with us. But yeah, man, how long have you been playing in general? Did you start as a youngster or anything like that? Did you, I mean...
Well, I started basically as everyone with some toy guns from like some sort of market when I was maybe 13 or 14, but then Yeah, I always kept an eye on that, but I got my first AEG at the age of 17, which wasn't allowed because in general, need to be 18 in Germany. So a friend of mine bought that, and for a year or so, we just went with a couple of friends to the woods, which is highly illegal here, and just played. But yeah, I'm coming from more of the countryside in Germany in a way, so that wasn't an issue. But then that was in 2014, and yeah, from 2015, I only played on legal fields, more the milsim style, obviously not milsim, but like the normal skirmish style. And yeah, figured out by the end of 2017, found videos from SYG, from Union, and also from SEA from the UK, and I really liked the style. Just go out, and the mentality to just go out there and own everyone on the field, and no like shooting distance, just shoot point blank, and yeah, all that. I really liked that and decided to start it myself.
That's good. I think a lot of us start almost, I mean, I'm guilty of it when I first started playing, with the more milsim vibe, wanting to be in camo and things like this, and it slowly transitioned. And we watched so many players over here already kind of start that way, and then once they kind of get a glimpse of a certain way of playing, which you would kind of, with a broad brush of like speed soft, so kind of go in that direction, start playing more aggressively, closer range, things like that, which I enjoy it more. It's my favorite way to play. Like, I mean, SpeedQB is one of my hands down favorite way to play, but even if we go CQB indoors, things like that, the vibe is just so cool, man. I mean, like, get to shoot little green balls at other people, playing outside is pretty fun, but I gotta admit I'm a little spoiled playing inside lately, away from the environments, out of the rain, out of the mud, things like this. But yeah, man, this is the whole vibe to it. I like it more, and it's something I want to grow, get more people involved in Speedsoft, especially playing SpeedQB games and things like that, No hate towards Milsim. I mean, Milsim guys I know a lot of awesome ones, but if we can convert a few of them, to come over and make some SpeedQB teams, it'd be really nice to see. Houdini said he started in the woods with Springers. He knows where you're coming from. See, I didn't. I seen the the little clear Springer guns, things like that when I was younger, and it didn't click to me too much. I didn't grasp a hold of it, and I got a hold of playing Airsoft actually as something to want to do with my son more. He picked up on it, was playing a couple months. I was taking him out there. I was just like, drop him off, and I thought, hey, why don't I do this with him? And I got hooked. Hook, line, sinker. It took over me. But I love it. I love the culture. I love the people I've met. The game itself is it's freedom. I love it. It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So tell me, what is your plans? I mean, is Airsoft? Can you see yourself still doing this in 5 years? I mean, is this something you have?
100%. I'm here to stay, basically.
No hesitation. I love that. He's committed. All right. Well,
for sure.
Well, where do you see the sport going in 5 years?
Obviously, with the Pro-Div and the First Div year in the making, like to put it on a real scale. This year, I can see that reaching out to like wherever in the world, to the US, to Australia, which both have very, very interesting scenes going, and I think they will adapt that sort of format in a way. So I think it's only a matter of some time until we see global rules and some kind of global organization, or like at least some rule set for that. And yeah, from there it only can grow. I mean, we already played on DreamHack, which is a gaming convention and esport tournament thing in 2019 in the Netherlands, and we had an arena built in one of their halls, and people came there to watch our games. We had at some point like 200, 300 viewers standing around the actual field. watching us play, and that was on a quite shitty level from gameplay. So I definitely can see that happening more and reaching out to people also depending on COVID. I mean, everything slowed a bit down in the past 2 years because of that. But hopefully it will be gone in a way that we can grow the sport worldwide, and I think sky's the limit, basically.
I'd love to see it explode like that on it. I mean, gosh, when we think of global, it's so big to think of for the opportunity to go, over to where with y'all, with the Netherlands, or going down to Australia or Brazil or Japan, and it's just like it's an overwhelming thought, and but in reality, it could very well come a reality, and I think the more the interest is growing. That's pretty clear. More people are showing up, so it's like, what the hell is that? What are they doing? And everyone on everyone's part, like you said, with being the platform you was using, and kind of, I guess that's a way of like expressing it, and growing more interest in it. The more you post about it or videos, and people are like, this is badass. I think in due time we very much could see that. Global rules and things like that, where we know what we're walking into from, we're playing over here in the States, and say we come over to the Netherlands, it's like we know exactly what we're getting into. There's no question about it. We know the rule format. That would be nice to see, opposed to little tricky things here and things y'all got going on. Because our conversation with Demi not long ago, I believe that y'all have flashlights that are banned now and things like that.
Yeah, we just figured that out because we kind of have a higher ref standard, I would say, because the refs are actually working. It's not like you see them a lot of times somewhere on the internet standing there but not catching a known call at all. And I think they are already pretty good. I also ref myself in First Division, which is the second division in a way. And we figured out that flashlights, and also you had it on one of your last streams as well, the new Aztec tracer, what is this, with the Bifrost.
The Bifrost, yes.
The Bifrost.
Yeah, it's also not banned, but you are only allowed to use it as a normal tracer without the color thing going on, because even that can blind a ref, because the refs are used to stand behind players, so you see the lines the players are shooting. And from an outside perspective, not having to worry about getting hit, it's way easier to see hits. And obviously in some situations, like in Snake or on the Plexi side, there are refs watching the player where they're standing behind for hits. But on the back players, the refs are watching in the field. And when there's a guy blinding you with a flashlight, you see shit, like you can't see the BBs.
Yeah.
And it was allowed in First Div, and as a ref I had the mentality, okay, if you put a flashlight on me, I don't care if you hit that guy and he's not calling it, put it off so I can judge. And that's basically the main reason. I get that they're cool, but in order to grow the sport and make it more fair, because we don't have the hit detection as paintballers do, I think it's kind of needed for that, if you really have a ref crew that's not just standing there for saying, okay, we have refs.
Yeah. I still, as a tool, we're still allowed to see what y'all are talking about makes me think differently on just sitting here using it. I've used it. We're still allowed to at the moment. I know several times it feels like I've shot an individual when they've been shooting at, have a flashlight pointing at me, and I'm like, you can almost see their silhouette, but you really can't tell if you're actually striking them. And as you just said, we don't have hit indicators, so it's all honor based. But to think of the ref behind them, that's something we haven't got to see much. A lot of refs really being so involved in it, and really, staring at them more or less, just really watching and doing their job on a severe level like that, to even think about sitting there blinding a ref, we've shot refs plenty of times, one being in the background, but if the player's here and the ref's behind it,
Yeah, but that's what everyone knows when you sign up for being a ref, basically.
Yeah, you're going to get shot. What's your thoughts on it, Mason, the flashlight?
I would. Steve, You know my opinion on the flashlights. I've made it obvious multiple podcasts. I think there's advantages and disadvantages to them. Playing against them, I started out using them at first, whenever, like, my first tournament, because I was playing in Snake, and I was like, I thought it was cool as shit to just fake somebody out with a flashlight, being an idiot. But I think they definitely do more harm to the sport than they do good. Just because, like you said, it's basically like Juggernaut, because if you're shining a flashlight at somebody and they're shooting at you, and you can pretty much just toughen up and say, I'm going to take all these hits and not call anything and be a fucking loser.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to be able to tell otherwise. So I'm not a big fan of them, mainly because I don't like it being shined in my eyes and then people not calling anything. But that's just my opinion. I think whichever way the sport does go, I think it needs to be global rules and either have them or not, and it just needs to be set in stone with everything. Because like Voorhees said, I'm tired of going to fields and have to memorize the rules for each individual field every time I'm trying to play. Like,
yeah,
make it all the same everywhere.
Yeah. See, now I haven't used it in this last tournament, but y'all got me really thinking. I mean, I never thought of things like that. I mean, other than what we was just sitting here talking about, shooting
don't get
at
me wrong,
one.
Steve. I'm not sitting here trying to go, Steve, you're a scumbag for using a fucking flashlight.
Steve's a fucking scumbag. Let it be known for the flashlight. That's a badass flashlight, though. That thing will light up the room. It really is.
I am excited to see how this Lights Out tournament goes. I don't know if you've heard about it, Fivves, but at Shot Zone next month, there's a 3v3 Lights Out tournament, and the flashlights and lasers are banned as well.
Ooh.
So it's going to be interesting to see that.
That's going to be super interesting, especially being just the Lights Out, even indicating. I mean, that's going to come down to an honor system too. And
Bifrosts are going to be a huge advantage, man. That's just you shoot and you light up the whole room.
That's true. But boils down to our. That's going to be an honor base. If you're hitting them.
Oh yeah.
For those guys that are
How are you supposed to ref in the dark?
Yeah,
I heard about that, and they were also worried about the live stream because it's kind of impossible to live stream.
Exactly. Yeah.
Jack the ISO way up. We'll make it grainy. Yeah, a few people in the comments seem to agree with it, with maybe getting rid of them. And I'm not opposed to it, man, because like I said earlier, I think that what y'all have going on over there is definitely it's working. It's completely working. So, if we can, I don't know, be the apprentices to it, like, what do y'all got going on? Why do y'all do this? Makes this, gets us thinking. I'm not at all. If they say lead a flashlight, all right, bet. It's not really a big thing to me, but being it is a tool that we can use, why not? I mean, because we have little things that are restrictions now, like our mag count, no feathering, things like that, and it's just like any kind of tool that you can use to your advantage, using it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if it's allowed, everyone will use that, and that's the whole point of competition and why our rule book basically got from like this to this, because people, and also obviously ourselves included, always trying to find holes and like find the edge and be on the edge for most of the time. I personally actually never used a flashlight because I'm German, and flashlights are not allowed in Germany to have them at all, because airsoft guns in Germany are treated as real firearms. Like, you can buy them because the caliber is not that dangerous, but you need to be 18, and because it's, or from the law side at least, a firearm, you are not allowed to mount any flashlight to it. And if the flashlight is comes with a Picatinny adapter or like mount, then it's also forbidden just to have the flashlight, and you really get high fines for that. Or some people also got to jail like a couple of years ago for like, I don't know, half a year or so for having them in like in bigger margins.
Wow, that's amazing.
So I never use them. I mean, I could store them at the arena because the arena is in the Netherlands, and that's totally fine. But I was always like, okay, I think they will be banned at some point, so I'm not getting used to that and rely on them So I try to shape my skill set around that, and not going with the edge. Try to be better without that, or hold up to that without that.
Yeah, and be
I'm not gonna
critical.
lie.
Go ahead.
Whenever he first started telling that story, I thought he was about to just like burn Steve and be like, "Look, I've never used a flashlight. I'm a purist, man." That's where that was going for a minute. I wasn't expecting the flashlights being illegal. I couldn't imagine. Like that's something I never would have dreamed of. Flashlights with Piccatinnies being illegal.
I mean, we have stupid rules, like literally probably the most stupid airsoft rules in the world in Germany. You also need an F mark. It's an F in a triangle, but like a triangle with 5 corners, and it needs to be on there. And some other engravings like the BB caliber, and also the shop who imported it. And it's like the gun needs to be checked by customs basically before a shop can hand it out. And the weirdest part is, if you buy an AEG, let's say a normal G&G combat machine, and you want to put an HPA engine in there, it's illegal.
Wow.
So if you want to go HPA, you need to buy a gun that's already with HPA, because it's, from the law side, changing the engine or changing the way the BB is powered, and that's illegal for a normal person.
Wow.
So are you allowed to upgrade AEGs? Like, leave them AEG and like change parts?
Yes and no, that's a gray area, because the law is not clear about that, because the people who made the law didn't knew about Airsoft that time, and they kind of fit Airsoft in there, and no one cares about Airsoft, so it's not really like easy to tell, so it's a gray area. But technically everything that increases the FPS of a gun is illegal, but like changing or replacing stuff like gears on an AEG is kind of allowed, so it's a gray area. Like if you get caught by the police and they really want to fuck you up, they probably can, but it's like, just live with that and make sure you have at least the correct F mark to that. Also, we are restricted to single shot only, like we only have semi in Germany.
So even like an AEG would come only semi?
Yes, it has safe and semi then. But now it gets really confusing. You are allowed to have full auto on your airsoft gun if your gun is under 0.5 joules. Because then it's not a gun, then it's a toy for the law. Then you don't need to be 18. Those guns don't have F marks, but you can't increase the FPS above 0.5 joules. Yeah, and it's allowed to have that gun at the age of 14, because it's a toy, not a gun. So we technically have burst and full auto in Germany, and if you see like Milsim videos from Germany, they also have LMGs somewhere on trucks and all that, but they're shooting just 0.5 joules.
Gosh, you'd be lucky to feel that. I mean, it's like a fly running into you at that.
Yeah.
Start lobbing them like paintballs, just aiming at the sky and hope they get there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Basically.
That's insane to think. It's very surreal to think of like that, because I mean, over here we have a lot of gun freedoms over here. We have our restrictions on certain things, but I mean overall, I mean we got 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old players just going out there and just full auto, wide open,
Hey, speaking of which, there's that. I don't remember which team it is or what the kid's name is, but he plays at Nashville. He's like 9 years old, and he plays with a high capa with a tap adapter, and he is like the nastiest snake player I have seen in the East Coast. Period.
Yeah,
he's absolutely insane, and he's 9 years old. I'm like,
yeah, he's 3 foot tall with a dangerous one like that. They are dangerous. Like,
yeah, he's basically playing snake like it's a Dorito. He's just barely leaned back, and he's out here just snap shooting all feet. Like, wow.
Yeah, because of all of that, we technically never could have international tournaments in Germany. Like, there is a certain way around that, but it's like a huge deal to do that. Like, you have to do so much and work with customs, and if there's one person not liking what you're doing, you are out. Like, you can't do anything about that.
Wow.
That's also why I don't have a fancy looking monk gun. So it is technically a monk gun, but the upper and lower is a from German preset gun. I bought that, sold everything around that, and just took the upper and lower with the F mark to at least pretend it's legal in a way.
I understand that.
Yeah, that's also interesting. Is like if we did have a global rule book for like an international style league, or whatever, that all the age restrictions and customs and stuff like that across all the different nations that are involved would be definitely something that's difficult to incorporate.
Absolutely. I mean, being how many? Gosh, there's so many. I mean, we got what? Three players that are under 18.
Yeah.
And that would really hurt to lose those 3 players, like not be able to.
I mean, like also from our home field, MIP, I'm pretty sure all 5 of them are under 18. So there's just things like that. I mean,
this is also a big reason why American paintballers are still so much ahead of almost every other country in the world, and also about the Middle Europe countries, because in most of them paintball is only allowed at the age of 18. But if you start like with the age of 10 playing, you have a huge advantage because you don't have to learn the basics. And every other professional sport, kids start with the age of 3 or 4 if you want to become the superstar of it. If you start with 18, the train is gone.
Yeah,
right.
That's a good point.
Which brings up kind of slings over into another topic. I know Ronan. I know at least that's what everybody. It's now what MPI Gray, Grayson that used to play for M&R. He was posting those videos of all the I forget what the name of the game was, but the VR games that are like VR paintball. That's going to be interesting to see if that like helps with growing the sport or bringing new people in, or like Fivves mentioned, it's not the most ideal way to practice, but you can kind of learn the basics of decision making in the game, before you're 18 playing a video game. But
yeah, they're getting very. My daughter's got VR paintball. It's pretty cool. You can actually peek and snap out, shoot and everything. It's pretty wild. Yeah. It's weird to think of when you actually have it there, because in reality you would actually peek because it's reality. You forget it in the game. You're over here trying to peek out with your hands. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how the different games. I know there's been multiple different groups doing developments for paintball / airsoft, speed QB, whatever style VR games. I'm interested to see how that goes in the future. Snapshot VR, that's the name of it. Thanks, Houdini. And Rex, somebody else said it. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. I can't think of what the paintball game is that she's got. I played it and it was I got my ass beat. I wasn't ready. I mean, there's some 6-year-old probably just stomped my ass on that game.
Did they ban flashlights in it? Is that what happened?
I'm gonna end up getting that right there is gonna end up causing me to get rid of the flashlight. Y'all gonna give me hell.
Must be nice.
No, but I mean, it's something I'm actually sitting there considering, man. I mean, there was a time I didn't run one. I mean, I started when we first started playing Speakeasy. I had one on there. I used it a few times, and I went for a while without having one, and then, just getting one. I mean, the damn thing's bright as hell, So yeah. I'd use it to my advantage where I could even open play and stuff. But it's got me thinking of considering. It's just like, just don't use it. Just, I don't know. But incorporating new things like that, I mean, I don't know if a field would let it go. I mean, places like HTK, it's the flashlight's damn near pointless. I mean, it really is. It's so lit up in there. I mean, you can barely see the tracer once it's 20 foot out. I mean, it's hard to see.
Yeah. It is definitely. And also that when you play on that floor, one wall has windows in it, and then the other one doesn't. It's like whichever side you're on, one side you've got shadows you can see, and the other one you can't. Yeah. And then you're fighting the sunlight too. It's interesting,
But you can kind of easy fix that if you want. Like just put some airsoft mesh in front of that. And
right.
It should be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nashville's bad about certain shadows.
Nashville's got so many different lights, and then the one skylight or whatever. Like, there's Nashville, you can see shadows on damn near every piece of cover. Like, if someone's trying to jump shoot over Dorito in the back, you can see their shadow on the back wall squat before they do, so you can like pre-fire it.
Let's go ahead and wait from the peak.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me get her inside.
Oh.
Looking back at some of these comments. See if somebody asked anything. Well, what about what about secondary? I mean, is there a pistol that you run at all or anything like that? Or you just want to?
Me personally.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not a pistol player. I mean, I have a normal stock high capa for like 6 years now as my outdoor backup, but I probably run 1 or 2 times a capa. I don't know, you guys, you're using foot. I'm not familiar with that, but I'm almost 2 meters tall. So me somewhere in the snake or somewhere in the front is not a good idea. Also, I'm not the fastest off break. And with how good people are shooting off break, I would maybe make it 1 out of 10 times to the front.
Yeah.
And even then I have so much struggle to fit my whole body in the small covers in the front that it's definitely not a good idea for me. And also it's pretty like common here that people don't switch too much with the guns. Like if you are either a front player or a back player, and like in pickups obviously people switch it up sometimes, but mostly they focus only on one platform to like master that platform because that's what they're using in the tournament anyways, and no one cares if you're also a good rifle shooter, but if your purpose is somewhere in the front. So no, I'm not having a super fancy capa, and I'm not playing with that.
I get that completely. I played Snake at one place, and it wasn't even in a tournament, and that was Shot Zone, and only because the cover was big enough. I just can't move for it, like, and don't.
Because you're 900 years old, dude.
I knew it was coming.
If you weren't so old and slow, you might get a chance to play up front. I mean, you're short enough for it. Meanwhile, you're sticking me up in the front line.
You were a front line, but you showed out, and you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's what it was.
Which the other thing that's a huge difference, and we talked about this whenever we had Junkie on, is like we don't have the rules and regulations about having 2 pistol players required. It's like when we play, almost all of us are using ESG grips. I mean, on the front line and the back line.
Best choice, definitely. For at least most parts. And we also had that rule allowed, and it was also allowed in First Div last year. But you can really see the tactics, like teams being in the back with 5 guys, just holding lanes, and because of the other team not being able to adapt to that, they just fall one by one, and it's a very boring game to watch. And that's why the rule is there, and it will be extended to First Div this year as well, as far as I know, just because it makes sense that I mean, you can still rapid fire HBA pistol, and also with the M adapter, like it's almost an M4, but it's not on the other hand, because people running the belt setups with the small HBA bottles, so you can get maybe 2 or maybe maximum 3 mags out of it, but you have to play a couple of rounds, so you can't refill your HBA every round. So pistol players are most of the time not spamming the trigger and going more for snapshots or like suppressing, but then from the front and not somewhere from the back.
Right. Yeah, I definitely think that would make a lot of our gameplay less boring, because I've noticed that when you play on such small fields, like for example Nashville, a lot of the games go exactly the same every time, because there's only so many places that you can go, and there's only, people aren't forced to go up or anything. Everybody just turtles up and sits in the back as far as they can, and it's just boring.
Yeah, it always comes down to back line fighting back line, and then you get, once in a while you have a good snake player.
Shout out to Slaughter Gang. Slaughter Gang is definitely the outlier there. Slaughter Gang is always sending somebody up past the 50, like ASAP. They're one of the few tried and true green gas driven machines. Shout out to Breeze and Cujo, y'all my boys.
Somebody asked, are you guys able to use a double trigger in Germany? I know some European countries they are allowed. Is that a reference to blade trigger? What is that like?
Yeah,
like
the blades.
That's what I took. That's what I took it as a blade trigger.
Yes, it is allowed. I also had one before SpeedQB started, and it's also like I did a speed test with that because people were talking. Also, Milsim online platforms talking like, yeah, I can shoot my gun so fast, and I just wanted to prove them wrong. And it's by far my mostly clicked video. It's just like a minute long, me spamming the trigger to showcase how fast you can go without ramping, without anything, just by technically double triggering. But because BQB rules from the beginning, they banned that for good reason. I never used one and probably never will use one again. So yeah, it's technically allowed in Germany and almost everywhere, but on the tournament side, it's not allowed, just by rules, not by law.
Yeah, it's we've talked about playing with it outdoors, places that would have one. I mean, but I don't want to pull one in and out and in and out. They do look kind of cool though. I got to give it that. I personally never used one yet. If I ever do, I have no idea. I think if I did, it'd be in a paintball world, just plain and simple. It just, at that point, you really are pushing a paintball. Fishing Fluke says Cujo's the best player at NA. I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah, I'd buy that for $1. I really would. That boy's always at NA. He's always putting in work.
Which team he is on?
He's on Slaughter Gang.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's really good.
Hell of a snake player.
So I will put him on my list.
He's a hell of a snake player.
And he's always got good videos too. Like he's not just good; his content is good.
It is.
His Instagram content is top notch.
See, Houdini's a real one. He said, shit, Steve, we're the same age. See, he ain't old either. We ain't old.
Well, if you're 900, I'm scared to figure out what Pops is.
Yeah, I got me aging with Noah over here. How long has your channel been up? How long have you been doing that? Your YouTube channel?
I actually started in 2015. Was a bit inspired by Norwich. Also bought 2 cheap GoPros that time, one for the self cam, one for the head cam, and did a couple of like 20 videos where also commentating with a very bad German accent in English about what I'm doing there. So I took them off. I still have them on private. That's also where originally the name ATSB came from. So technically the name is from 2015, but the team itself was founded in 2018. And because of that also I got a bit into Speedsoft, because as I said, I was looking to create good content, and everyone wants to see even better, like more crazy stuff. And Speedsoft, or the way Speedsoft works and how you play indoor, kind of allows you for big kill streaks, big sweeps, and that's like entertaining to watch, at least to me. And so yeah, that was also part of why I got into that area, because like sitting in the woods for 2 hours not shooting anyone, it's very hard to make good content out of it.
Yeah.
And so to me it was like a bit in between. But yeah, I have some ups where I upload a lot of videos, and then I have like half a year no video. It's most of the time due to job, and also I hate, like I love editing, but I hate watching some Indian kids explaining me how stupid I am on editing, and that's like always the struggle with me.
It's a struggle. I understand.
So, my next question was about to be, what does ATSB stand for? But I did a little Googling and I figured it out myself, and that is awesome. I had no idea what it stood for.
But what do you think it stands for?
It's, at least the @ for on Facebook says all-time sexy boys. Is that right?
Yeah, that's like the most common translation.
That's fucking awesome. Oh.
But apparently, or sadly, I have to say, there's also the word all-time single boys, because technically on our squad everyone is single at the moment. So that showed up as well.
Hey, happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Damn, that makes us feel really insufficient with Paducah boys over here. Like, why could we
we're the Paducah boys, and they've got all-time sexy boys. Like, we're doomed to fail, man.
Yeah, no shit.
But also, and I apologize for that, and everyone under 18 should, like, don't listen for a second, but there's also, like, ass, tits, sex, beer. You can also do that.
It's fitting.
Yeah, whenever I was first thinking of the names, again, to the 18-year-olds, I was thinking that, like, all teams suck balls or something like that. Like, it's like putting everybody else down. Like, trying to think of, like, the shittiest way to just absolutely hate on everybody.
Yeah.
There's also the German transition, like, you can't 100% translate it to English with the right letters in front, but my first name is Aaron. And there's a translation, Aaron kicks his brother.
That'll work
and
too.
I actually have a brother, and I kicked him a lot in the youth, so...
Speedcheck asked, would you go and play a tournament in the U.S. with ATSB?
Yeah, definitely.
Right to it, definitely.
Like, I'm just waiting for an opportunity, and... like, as soon as there's a place that's worth to travel, like, because it's a huge commitment, and I want to experience at least some standard quality in a way, we are definitely going. Like, in 2 weeks or 1.5 weeks, we are basically flying to Gran Canaria, which is a Spanish island, but it's so far off in the sea, it's like 5 hours flight, and it's technically Africa. I also went with second to none to Italy last year. Of course, it's not that far, but like, traveling is always great with Airsoft, and I love traveling, so that's definitely on my list.
Yeah, so he's going to NA. So small.
Yeah, if you came from Real Strike to playing on NA, you would be so underwhelmed. It would just it's an awful. No, not to shit on NA, but it's no Real Strike arena.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I mean, the facility Real Strike is great, and I think people don't value that as much because they can play that every weekend, and then it's kind of normal for you.
Right.
But yeah, like, getting a field in that quality, I'm not talking about the environment, but just the field, doesn't take too much. I mean, short zone, you said that, also have turf already.
Mm-hmm.
And if you put then the right covers there and kind of have some way, like a useful layout,
mm-hmm.
and like having the basic rules there, I'm in. Like, it doesn't take much to step to that point, and I think from what I saw and how big the progress is that you actually made in a very small period of time, and also in COVID time, I can definitely see that happening, like, in the next year or like in the next 12 months.
Or it's definitely something that we want to see.
That's one thing I hadn't really thought about is, we've only been playing speed QB tournaments for 8-9 months now, and this has all been in the COVID time that, like, this is growing as much as it is. Like, if we get out of this, I'm honestly scared to see how much it's gonna grow.
It's gonna explode.
I don't know how many people it's actually keeping at home at this point. I mean, we've been in this since, for almost 2 years solid now, a little bit over. I don't know how many people are still not doing things that they want to do, but just being able to see that kind of growth in that amount of time has been absolutely absurd.
Agreed.
Also, I don't know if it will take place, but I'm hoping so hard for that, for a SpeedQB or like Speedsoft Nations Cup, which is World Cup played by nations. So USA plays against Germany, and I don't know where it's going to be hosted, but probably in Real Strike. But it would be amazing to see like teams from around the world coming together in one place and play for their nations, because that's a whole different vibe than just playing with teams.
Yeah. That would be insane.
Yeah, and the skills, just the play styles too, like strategies and things, like how teams play, you know.
Oh yeah, you think about all the different fields people are used to practicing on, playing on, and how much different everything would be. I mean, you would definitely have a lot of different play styles, and you know, it would be cool for everybody to break away from the norm and just play something new.
So I kind of hope it's not a Real Strike, because everyone here is getting a bit bored.
Right.
Of course, it's great, but it's like my home field, or almost everyone's home field, and like to travel somewhere is a whole different story.
I'd trade you in a
out
heartbeat.
there with the boys at the hotel, just having a blast, and obviously playing SpeedQB or playing Airsoft. It's great itself, yeah.
Yeah, some of the best parts of the tournament weekends are like at the restaurant after you go out and play all day, or on the ride home, where you know you're in town for the weekend. And when everybody was at ACS for the 8 year, and we all went to the bowling alley, and we were all at my crib and hanging out. Like it's just hanging out with all your friends is just part of the best part of it. Like the Airsoft's great too, but the community and friends is awesome. For sure.
Fishing Fluke, I seen your question. You asked us twice. You asked if we're going to SS. We was hinting at it today. I don't know if we have an exact date yet, but we have a date we was talking about going down there. So hopefully here soon, as soon as we kind of lock it in with everyone on the team to say, hey, this day, then we'll kind of put it out there what day we're gonna go. But it's definitely probably, if it's going to be anything, it's going to be one of the Steve QB tournaments. Which that's going to be interesting for us, because SS is like the smallest Speed QB field. Like,
SS is tiny.
Yeah, so I mean, you're literally, you know, from break, you can damn near turn and be at home from what it looks like.
It's not friendly to tall guys either. It's like all of their like pieces of cover are like hip height and below on me, except for like the 3 in the back, and that's it.
Yeah, I saw that, and I mean that's a field that's around there for a couple of years now, and one of the first outside tech city fields in the world, I would say. Yeah, it always looked so small, and obviously I'm a tall guy, but as long as everything else is fine, I'm fine with that as well.
The other field that I think is really interesting is like Battalion. Their stuff is at a weird height. Like it's like a middle ground. I don't know if you've seen any footage of Battalion Airsoft Arena in Florida, but their Speed QB field that's where DSK is from. Their field layout is pretty cool. It's definitely different from everybody else.
Lots of squad.
But to be honest, I like when the covers are a bit smaller, also the front covers, because then you really have to play tight and don't get away with some sloppy positioning or like your head sticking out too much. And it's also easier for the backline guys to shoot the front players. But if they have almost like head high covers, it like takes away a bit from that overlook feeling you should have from the backline, at least on certain spots.
Slaughterhouse was talking about Battalion before they beat me to it. I guess I beat them to it, whatever. But
oh, nice to see. Did you guys go to HTK? We didn't over the weekend. We've been there a few times, but we didn't go on this one. We plan on hopefully traveling up next month. Probably almost guaranteed to be up there next month in March. What day we don't know yet, but
When is the when was that mill sim that they're having at the HTK outdoor? When is the date on that?
late April.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I think it's late April. I mean, I know we talked about maybe going to that, but I mean, that's everybody wants to. I mean, I think that had to be a whole team thing.
Yeah,
To kind of go to. I think that would be
for
pretty
sure.
awesome. NA is a minefield. Yeah, what Rupert said, NA is a minefield while sliding. Mason knows that firsthand. No pun.
First hand, really? Come on, bro. Come on. So, Fivves, you probably don't know the story. We've talked about it a few times, but anyways, they rearranged the layout at Nashville one day, and I was out there practicing doing some belly slides to the cover up front, whatever. And it was the first practice round, scrimmage round of the day, and I took off sliding across the floor. And apparently they had moved one of the covers in the back, and there was a piece of rebar sticking up in the floor, and I managed to slide and run my fingers just like that over that rebar and rip my hand open. And it didn't rip my glove, but it ripped my hand open, and then they had to clean it, and then I went and had it glued the next day at the hospital. But basically I called my dad and was like, hey man, we don't have a sub this tournament. You've got to drive up here in the next 2 hours and come play, because I can't. My hand is falling apart. Then I coached from the sideline and we won the tournament, so it was cool. But yeah, NA is a minefield and you got to be careful. Luckily, they've cut the rebar off now, so it's not a problem. But yeah, it was definitely scary because I scorpioned over this thing. I just took off sliding, and the next thing I knew, my feet were above my head, my gun was across the field. I was like, what the hell?
Well,
no idea what's going
next
on.
level. I mean, sometimes, especially in those fields, when it's an old industry factory, some sort of warehouse,
Yeah.
and they are not 100% super clean on the floors, it can happen, but it shouldn't. That's a big fuck up, basically.
Yeah.
And you're lucky that you haven't lost any fingers. That could easily happen.
Oh yeah, I was definitely lucky. If I had hit even slightly more to the left or to the right, man, I would have definitely if I would have hit over more to the left and it would have ripped my pinky clean off the side. I have no doubt.
As long as you keep your booger hook.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I definitely like turf more.
For sure.
We first started here on concrete as well, and that was the latest shit you can have. But once we switched to turf, everyone appreciates that because it's way nicer to the bones and to the muscles for a player. And if you are really practicing, you have to slide a lot, and that really hurts your body. And even there, people get injured because of wrong slide techniques or being fat or whatever. And on concrete, it will be even worse. And also, the gear gets so burnt out so fast, it's insane. So, if there has to be concrete because the field still have it, I prefer if it's polished with a special, I don't know, colorized stuff like HTK has it.
There's this hardwood.
Oh, that's hardwood actually.
Yeah, it's like an old factory as well. It was an old furniture factory, I think, but it's all hardwood on the SpeedQB field. But
the green color is
it's just paint.
A coating in a way, right?
Yeah. They just I know Predator Freeland's in here and he helped with it. I'm pretty sure it was just paint, as far as I know.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it was pretty similar to the concrete. I mean, it slid a little bit better, but as far as how hard it was on your gear and stuff, it's pretty rough. I mean, in Nashville, you can go through a set of you wear the HK Army soft knee pads. You'll rip through them in 2 or 3 tournaments. It's absurd.
Yeah. Damn things.
I know I had the dye elbow pads whenever I used to slide the snake, and they would just get so worn out. I was still bruising my elbows all the time. It's just
also
hard on gear.
on Gran Canaria, where we're going in 2 weeks, they also have like polished concrete with also some paint on it, and it will be very interesting because all the Center EU teams are used to turf now, and also the other fields around here have basically turf or are outdoor fields with turf. And now going back to concrete after we played the last concrete tournament like 3 years ago, it will be crazy and interesting to see how everything turns out.
Yeah, for sure.
Monk said, "We hope we can organize a big tournament this year in the U.S." That's coming from Monk himself. So that is definitely something. I mean, man, I got no doubt that people from around the states are going to come crawling to wherever it's at.
Absolutely.
For the chance to be able to play. I mean, especially if any of y'all are able to come over here, I have no doubt people are going to drive. They're going to put in the hours. They're going to put in the time for that one. That will be a hell of an event for a big tournament for that. That could really be some serious potential. And again, it kind of goes back to, especially with play styles and things like that. I think it'd be a very hype event. It really would. Predator said, "Yeah, it's just paint coating. Plan to wax in the future." It looks good though. It's got that. It just looks good. It's just a good field. It's one of those too that you got to kind of play it different with, the turf. You can kind of, you run and your feet aren't slapping, but on that floor, when you're running up on somebody, you got to almost half tippy toe it, you know what I mean? So they don't hear you coming and peek out and catch your ass, and you got to play it a little bit different. Thinking of your surroundings a little different. Does ATSB ever play outside?
Outside Germany, definitely, because we are technically a German team, but we have players from Belgium and the Netherlands on our team, because our home field is in the Netherlands. And we also have a Chinese player who's living in Germany, and we also play in Belgium, and we're planning to head over to France. Now we are flying to Gran Canaria, which is Spain, and if there's a tournament organized by Monk, or at least supported by Monk in the US, we will make everything possible to be there as well.
That's a tickling thought. It really
is.
Yeah, it is. Like, it really is. It's a really tickling thought to think of something like that. Of y'all be able to come over here and... I mean, I know you said you've been to Tac City, right?
No, I wish.
You wish you were, okay.
That was my biggest dream. But I flew 2 times to the UK, which had a big Speedsoft team at that time, to at least catch a glimpse of that. And Tac City was always on my plan. But then also SpeedQB started here and grew here. And then after that year, COVID started and traveling was impossible. So
it's still on the list, though, on the bucket list.
Yeah.
I'd love to go to Tac City. It'd be really nice. It's a few-day event for us, just as if it would be for y'all to be able to fly over here. That's something we'd have to dedicate several days to, being that far out. That's what did we say? It was a 22-hour drive, something like that?
28. It is a 28-hour drive to Tac City.
Yeah, I'd rather fly it.
Oh, yeah, I ain't driving 28 hours. What? You kidding me?
Monk asked, what teams you think would go?
I think or they are asking for like EU teams. 100% second to none, because they are a Monk-supported team or sponsored team. I hope we can do it. Beside that, I think a lot of teams are hyped for that, but on the other hand, it's a huge commitment, and we see that now with Gran Canaria, which is already quite far away, and we have to fly by plane there, and getting our guns there is a real hustle, and we send our body parts to there with a UPS and just fly with the engines to there. But I'm hoping everything goes right, that we don't end up without guns. And we know that SYG had 2 times issues coming here to Europe with guns, and it's not easy, at least here. So there's always a big hustle, and some teams also step back from the Gun Canarian tournament because it was just too much to do. So you really have to structure everything, because when you hear it, everyone is like, yeah, I want to go, but then you see, okay, you have to take care about that, and you can't just hop in a plane and go. So when you see that, and also the cost of that, if you don't have a sponsor that's covering at least part of that, I think a couple of teams would drop out, because it's such a huge commitment to go somewhere that far away from here.
I wonder about sending of things coming into our customs. I mean, I would think they would kind of be a little bit more lenient on things. I mean, obviously not a complete assembled gun, but I mean, sitting there thinking about, I mean, we order parts from other countries, and it doesn't seem like we have an issue. Like, we don't have to wait.
I know.
I mean,
I recently ordered, which, I mean, this is also coming from a brand new gun, not somebody shipping one in that's already put together and is coming in likely in a case, not in the box. But I ordered a WeTech Galaxy, the high capa series from Hong Kong, and it got from Hong Kong to my house in 49 hours, and it made it through customs like nothing. So I mean, a lot of it has to do with having the orange tip on it, as far as I know, for coming into the States. As long as you've got the orange tip on the end of your gun, I'm pretty sure everything's pretty simple. But then again, I know nothing about it because I've never done it. But it's from what I've heard and seen on the videos. Like, I'm pretty sure Jet Desert Fox posted a video about flying with your airsoft gun in the States, and I don't know if that's the same as coming into the States as it is flying around the States, and I'm sure it's not. But
it's a good thought.
Wouldn't be too difficult.
I think it's easier going into the States with the guns, because I think on our side here we have probably more strict airsoft rules all over the countries than you have, at least in most states, I would say. Yeah. So if the orange tip is the only issue, that would be great, to be honest. Like, it's really hard to fly with guns here. Some airlines do it and some don't. Like, even some airlines have problems with the HPA tanks. If you screw the regulator out, which is then just a piece of carbon fiber, they still don't want that, and so you can't fly with them, or you have to ship them in advance. Like, there's so many things you need to think about with such a journey, that I think it's hard, at least at the moment. But we definitely, or I want to be there and like show everyone that it's possible to do. Like
Monk just said, shipping to the U.S. is the fastest and safest way. Yeah, I don't doubt that shipping is. Also above that, Brendan said, "Is Tax City still moving?" I don't like Fishing Fluke said. I don't know if they're moving or they're opening another field. Last I had heard, they were moving to Texas, and they were just moving.
That's what I heard.
Not opening another field, but I'm not from Tax City. I've never played at Tax City. Don't know.
I'm thinking of guns too. I mean, we got certain states here that are a little bit more strict on guns, but I mean, where we're from, I mean, it's nothing to be standing in the front yard with a shotgun. A lot of people's not questioning it.
Hey, easy now. Just because you've been to my house and seen that doesn't mean you got to call.
No, I mean, out of my whole, just sitting there thinking of my whole life, or in our county line, you hit the county line and you hear gunshots in the distance. It's not like it's something
absolutely.
So restricted on that level. I mean, you got your certain standards of, can you have this, and are you out of the city limit? That's the biggest thing. And you sit there and shoot all the ammo you want.
Yeah, I mean, like where I grew up, we duck hunt a lot, and it's not uncommon for people all throughout the county to be woken up by the sound of a 12 gauge going off at sunlight. Like, that's just a regular thing.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It's wild to think about not having that.
You think about the difference between us and Illinois too. Like, Illinois has really strict gun laws. But in Kentucky, they like in the last 3 years, they implemented constitutional carry, so now anybody that can legally own a firearm over the age of 21 can carry a concealed firearm.
Yeah.
So,
and it's not uncommon to see. You go into Minute Mart, sometimes you see somebody understand with it.
Carry.
Yeah, open carry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's there's a lot of people that ride around with a rifle in their car. They have one in their car. I mean, it's not, and a police officer pull you over. I mean, you say you got it, you're allowed to have it. There's nothing going to happen. You're good to go. They'll send you about your way.
I'm not even going to lie. When it's duck season, there's a shotgun sitting in my passenger seat.
I mean, but I mean,
all the time.
This is normal things to us, and it's wild to think about. You know, if there was a restriction of saying, like, you know, we go to our local pro shop and it's like, I want to get this, and then I have to maybe register it and give all these proofs of things, and then just like even with the flashlight, you know, we just like, hey, open the case, let me get this flashlight, you know, let's stick it right on the rail and go about our way, and it's wild to think about like that. It really is. I mean, I guess we're kind of spoiled in some kind of ways there.
I mean, you are checking every stereotype US box at the moment.
Yeah, well, there you go.
A lot of them are true, though. I mean,
I started off the podcast already on the wrong foot. I mean, I am wearing a Bass Pro Shops hat, so like, how much more American can you get, right?
Yeah, see, Phil said Kentucky gun laws are super relaxed. Yeah, they really are. I mean, yeah, Houdini said it too, is no issues in the red states. I mean, because we have our division here. I mean, I know you probably hear of us a Republican, Democrat kind of thing, of our kind of two-sided system here that we have, and some of these states are blue states, some are red states, and usually a blue state has more restrictions on things.
Two-sided pissing match.
It is. It's a two-sided pissing match. It's watching it, you know, of our government doing it. You know, we got some lawmakers that are wanting to get rid of certain guns, and they can't even name the gun correctly or how many rounds it carries actually, but then wanting to ban it. It's like you can't even name what the hell it was.
I feel like we're going deeper down the rabbit hole of being stereotypical Americans.
It's okay though. But yeah, it is. It's really wild to think about, you know. I mean, you know, of course us on, you know, firearms, I mean, you know, if you want to go buy a shotgun, you know, you got to be an 18-year-old, you know, go in there and get a shotgun. You want to go get a pistol, you know, be 20, I think it was. It may have changed now.
Yeah, it's 21 to be a pistol.
So, yeah, that's what I was thinking. So 21 to be a pistol, but at that, I mean, if your background's good, you're good. And it's like, to think of that on, you know, on an airsoft level is just like, wow.
Yeah, here you are basically half a criminal if you change your spring in an AG.
That's wow.
Oh shit, I gotta change my spring so I don't shoot over the field limits at my other field. Guess I'm going to jail. Fuck.
Yeah. Quick change spring system should be like super sold there. Then just hurry up and quick and change, you know, pull it out real quick, put a new one in.
I think when they first come out, they were like not allowed by custom to be there, so they kind of got in at some point, but then when they first showed up, it was really not possible to get them here because they had like, I don't know, something against that in a way.
I get it though. It's yeah, Phil talking about it'd be backed up. Yeah, it really would be. If you put it on an airsoft gun, it could probably take 2 years before you actually got that back to get it approved at such a rating of people trying to do it.
And I can only imagine how hard that makes it for airsoft-related businesses in like it's going to be impossible for growth like that when you have things like restrictions on your gun laws and stuff like that. I mean, and especially with age too, because I know a lot of what grows the sport here is the age of people consuming a majority of your content is under 18, and those people are the ones that are going out and buying 4 and 5 guns before they realize what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
it's really hard to come by a full legal field in Germany, actually. Like, most outdoor fields are semi-legal. Like, it's questionable at least. And also, this is why Speedsoft had a very hard stand and still has in Germany, because there are maybe like 4 or 5 indoor fields in whole Germany. Because it's super hard to get like a warehouse, and then you just can't rent a warehouse. Then it needs to be proven that you're allowed to shoot guns in there, and all that change. And if, for example, like the mayor of the city doesn't want that, you're fucked. Like, you have to go to another city and hope for the best there.
Yeah.
And setting up a business on that is super hard and super risky, because technically, if the politicians decide to ban something or not to allow it anymore, then your business is gone within like half a year or so. So I really like the system the Netherlands have. I think Dimi touched on that as well, that they have like an organization which is approved by the government to regulate everything around airsoft. So they have like country-wise all the same rules on FPS and what to put on guns and whatnot. And if you're a Dutch person, you have to be part or like be a member of that organization in order to play airsoft, and it costs like, I don't know, 60 or 80 euros a year just to be member and just to be allowed to go to the fields. And if you do like big fuck ups on the field, then your cards get like taken from you and you can't play airsoft anymore. So there are many pros to that, but also when it comes to like finding good solutions where you think, okay, they make sense for what we are doing, it's sometimes a bit hard because it's an organization and they don't change stuff like field owners can easily do from one day to another.
Right. So that's why I was wondering about the laws in Australia, because I know that they use gel blasters while they're not even shooting 6mm plastic like we are. It's all gel.
Nope.
And that's insane to think about too. And I spoke with Mark a while back ago, and he was telling me, to think of, you shoot a gel ball out, just the laws of physics almost make this thing frisbee at a certain distance. The force coming out, and I think some of them guys would be super deadly if you actually put a more accurate BB in it, a better consistency opposed to a gel. I bet these guys are monsters. I mean,
it's like if you bring a paintballer to airsoft. I mean, if you bring somebody that's been proficient in paintball for a long time to a place like Shot Zone where they get to play on their inflatable bunkers with a extremely accurate airsoft replica, like they're gonna shit on everyone.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like
wow. We actually did that yesterday or on Sunday. We brought one of our biggest supporters from Austria to Real Strike, and he is like 42 years old, I believe, and he played on the highest level. He played like the previous organization of NXL in Europe, and he's playing for like 27 years now. Like, he started playing before I was born, and you can tell just by the movement and how good he was with shooting that it's another level. And he was owning people there, and like everyone was kind of happy to shoot him out. And he was even struggling with his mag release, so almost every time he put a mag in, it fell off, and he was so frustrated. And I was like, yeah, well, that's the airsoft experience. Like, you can't or almost can't buy a full set gun. Like, and that's why I'm so happy that Monk is there and doing what they are doing, because it's technically the first shop or the first service where you can buy a full Speedsoft style gun, and it's working, and it's not just working, it shoots good. And like, he had the typical airsoft issues and was very frustrated because in paintball you just buy a higher level marker and then everything is fine, and if it doesn't work you just throw it away and buy a new one, but it's basically impossible at the moment in airsoft or in Speedsoft.
True.
I can just imagine a paintballer coming out and playing airsoft and just trying to take the mag and
well that was
muscle memory.
he worked on it. Also, sometimes he was a bit frustrated, I think, on the hit situation. And
I can imagine.
And in pickups, obviously, there are no refs, and there are also stupid people playing there, and also like the lower level of players, like unexperienced players. So I like to call it hit management. I don't like to call it like cheater or something, but some people wear like hoodies or bound shirts. And I think they are not just aware of how a hit feels in a run, because we see that in Pro Div that it's possible to feel most hits while you're sliding, and if you really pay attention to that. But then they run with their chest rigs, their big backpacks and their beanies and whatnot, and like it's kind of obvious that those people tend to cheat a bit more, like not call it a bit more, and especially where there's nothing on the line and no one's controlling them, it sometimes get a bit ahead of everyone. So I think that was also a bit frustrating for him, but overall he really liked the community and the vibe that's there. And in Europe, paintball is dying, and it's very hard for paintball fields to hold up. And if they are still going, they are switching to mag feed paintball. So they are basically taking the other way around. Like they're coming from a huge tournament environment that paintball built up in the last 20 years. But now most players, or the average players, are shifting more to mag feed because you shoot less paint. It's more like, okay, just have a nice Sunday in the woods with the guys and drinking a beer afterwards. And Airsoft is obviously not changing in the whole or at like the greater scheme of things, but there's definitely the movement that we are all in towards a more tournament-orientated sport and not just a game. So it's kind of interesting to see those like taking another route. So he's very, very into that and really likes what we are doing.
So I kind of wonder about that. How is? I mean, I'm sure there's paintball's always it's ingrained so well here. I think it'll always be around. But to think of the greater, airsoft grows, especially SpeedQB over here. How much is it going to take from people playing paintball and just like shifting over just naturally, just like? Are we going to start robbing some of their players? I mean, it's a good thing for us, for what you just talking about, a guy that played 20-something years, and he comes in and just murders everyone in there. So the skill base is great to transition over, but at the same time is the more Airsoft grows and SpeedQB grows, is it going to affect Speedball? Like in XL, is it going to almost like smother it in a way?
With that, you kind of have to think about vice versa as well, because we've seen here lately even some of the players that play regularly in our area shift over to paintball because they get tired of things like people not calling hits and the likes. And plus, I mean, it seems in this area that paintball seems to be taken a lot more serious. There's already leagues established. The community's a lot larger. It's been around a lot longer. It's more of the norm for the American part of CQB 5-on-5 sports. Mm-hmm. So, which I mean that's kind of true everywhere, but
I think here we have a couple of paintball teams. Also, one of the best European SpeedQB teams is coming from paintball. One of them is playing at the highest paintball league at the UK, and obviously they are slapping everyone on the field and at SpeedQB. But I think there's a great number of people playing both. I personally never played paintball. Like I shot a paintball marker for maybe 10 balls. That's it. But I follow all the pro NXL teams and also the pro scene here in Europe, and kind of know what's going on, follow them, watch the live streams and all that. So obviously wearing like HK and all the other brands, it's also good for paintball if there's like something similar. And I kind of like the idea of thinking about it like American football and rugby, which from an outside perspective is kind of similar. But we need to make sure as a SpeedQB or like Speedsoft community to sharpen our game in a way that it's still similar, but has its own like identity and not just straight copying that. So
Yeah.
for me personally, I also played on, or we train also on, sometimes on a paintball field with sub-air bunkers. But to me, SpeedQB or Speedsoft has to be with wooden bunkers, or not like air bunkers, because that's such a big difference. Like, it looks like a small detail, but to me it's a big difference on how you play the game. And it goes on like the double trigger or the ramping discussion. Like, I'm against those type of things in SpeedQB because it's more paintballish already established. And I think we can find our own identity around those things and still have that gunfighter mentality a bit more, because BBs are a bit more accurate than paintballs are. So I think when we focus on those things, both sports can kind of coexist and like profit from each other. And on the long term, that helps everyone.
I agree with that. Airsoft having its own, let Airsoft be Airsoft, like have its own identity. Exactly, I agree with that completely. The inflatables, thinking of like when we play at Shot Zone, they're cool. It's different to play on, but it's just not the same as hard cover. It's just the playing with it is just different. It's fun, it's interesting, but exactly what you just said. That's paintball's world. We have a hard structure world, and let the two be, let them be different. If not, then we're just intermingling too much. And Monk asks, what does this sport need to get as big as paintball? That's a profound, deep question.
Yeah, I've been sitting here mulling over that one ever since I read it. At first glance, one thing that makes me think that it's going to take for Airsoft to grow as big as paintball, which we already see with you guys at Real Strike, is coverage with commentary. And obviously we got that at Shot Zone. Shout out to Caleb yet again. Did a wonderful job. I think that's kind of going to be the big thing that makes growth for the sport, because people really get an insight into what the competitive level looks like. They can see why it's enjoyable, and it's going to make people want to get out and try it. I don't know that that's the number one thing that's going to take it to get as big as paintball. I think the other thing is just a matter of time, because it obviously is going to take a while for something that's been around as long as paintball for Airsoft to get to that level. But as far as availability of fields and people are able to get out and play and try it, I mean that's the three things I think is just coverage, and, being able to play, and then just time. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, I think in due time it's gonna grow. I mean, but what you just said, the commentary on it, the content of it is extremely important. I mean, to think of. I mean, I know can all relate. I mean, we start playing Airsoft, and naturally, where do we go? We start looking up on YouTube, and then seeing on YouTube, we're like, we see this, and we see that, and it draws more interest in seeing that kind of content. It just kind of changes, and it's a growing format for it is in a large level. Now, if I don't anticipate being next 5 years like Airsoft being part of the Olympics or something like that, but definitely on a or being on find it on cable TV or something like that. But YouTube alone is a huge platform that so many people draw to. Almost everyone has a YouTube app, or it's in their browser history. They're going to it. They look for things and that platform, or this, so let's just say for this platform alone, is an ever exceeding explosive one. And just getting that content out there, letting people see it, for Shot Zones, them having theirs live streamed, you had people from all around the world watching into this, and then they see it. What is this? Just coverage, content out there. But like Mason just said, I think in due time it's going to explode. I think in more time. I mean, we have our identity, like we just said a minute ago, from paintball, but paintball has definitely cut out the trench, and we're going to flow behind, in that kind of aspect, because they're going to be familiar with what paintball is. And it's like, hey, this is kind of like paintball, but it's It's not paintball, you know.
Yeah, that's whenever somebody asks me, like, they're like, "Oh, you play on an airsoft team? Like, what is airsoft?" And I'm just like, it's basically like diet paintball, because that's like the easiest way to explain it to somebody. And it's such a shitty way to explain it, but it's easy to get across to people. Another thing I think will help with growth is definitely a formal set of rules in a league that's easy to keep up with. I know Europe is doing a wonderful job, but as far as growing in the States, I know, not like we talked about previously with Junkie, not that many people in the States follow the EU scene. And that's sad, because y'all are doing an amazing job, and I don't understand why more people don't consume the content. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe they're just not consuming the content at the time of the live stream, but as far as, watching it, I know that seeing what you guys have makes me want to have that here.
Facts.
Exceedingly
I think I can jump on that, because to me, what it needs to build it as a sport is raising the awareness that it's a sport and not a combat game. Because from my perspective, of course, we call it SpeedQB at that point, but that's more like a combat game or combat competition, whatever, like focusing on style. And what I see people, especially on the Tech City, Project N1 type of area where it's coming from, still using and wearing like hoodies and chest rigs and all that stuff, this is not leading towards a sport. And it's like we need to have those discussions we had earlier with the flashlights and all that. With those discussions, you can lead to a sport, and the sport means that you train and that you're not just going out, okay, I'm having a good time with my team. No, you train with like people training basketball, people training soccer, American football. I don't know. That's like a different type of training, which makes it automatically a sport. If you're just there shooting your gun, that's not a sport directly. And if we raise that awareness, and I think the East Coast, or the area where you guys are located, is doing a wonderful job on picking that vibe up, and not just let this be a combat scenario, sport, whatever. I think that's the first step everyone has to make in order to achieve that it can follow paintball, grow as big as paintball. And also what I really, really like about SpeedQB, or like the Speedsoft competition style, is that it's a bit more close to the gaming side, I would say, because we all use nicknames. I know some players use just their last name as their nickname, which is totally fine, but everyone can kind of build an identity beside their normal private life around everything. So I think that goes very well with esport. Like I think, like I like watching esport, especially PUBG esport, but a lot of people watching Counter-Strike, for example. And I think if the sport can address those people watching us, not just Counter-Strike, which is technically the same, just in real life in a way, then it has a huge audience. And I mean, we saw that at DreamHack, that it goes very well with each other. And from there, it's just like keeping the flow up, getting new companies in, new inventions in, and growing it bit by bit.
It's funny you mentioned that, because my call sign that I use is actually my old gamer tag I used as a kid. So transitioning that from esports into airsoft it's a perfect example. Like CSL just said, they said, "Do you think changing our player names to our last names creates a more professional atmosphere?" Yeah. Like he just said, he beat me to the punch. And another comment I'll make on that is you also have some people that play that have the same last names on the same team. We would have three of the same last name on our team if we did that, which is, I mean, that's fine, but I don't know that putting last names is necessary. Like we just talked about, kind of gives an identity when you have your own thing.
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of people, even with nicknames, I mean, some people are known their whole lives by a certain nickname. I mean, everyone knows them by it, calls them by it, so it is their identity. I think every player should have their own identity as a player, you as in your team where you play with, your competitive style with that, and then just each player having their your freedom within your individuality as a player. You run as a unit, as a team, but also you have your individual kind of way of going about it. And I kind of think of that on, you have your freedom within your gun style. Like all of us, we all have the same jerseys. We appear the same, but we put our identity more into how does our gun look? How do we, some guys like to make them really colorful. Some guys like to make them, whatever the case might be. And it's kind of like a freedom of expression within the gun.
That's true. Pro sport players have nicknames. That's a good point. I think the whole discussing rules of names and things will have to come along a lot later whenever the sport is a lot more.
Yeah.
Pro.
But as I said, in esport it works great with nicknames.
Yeah.
Like almost no esportler is known for its real last name. It's more like the nickname and the brand that they create with that name. And also what I see, like especially American teams in every sport like to use city names to their team name. Like in paintball, Houston Heat, for example. But in Airsoft, I think it's basically the whole opposite. Also in the States, like all teams are kind of fictional, like having whatever names they want, but not just the location they are from. And if it's already like that in the US, it's obviously the same in the EU as well. Like no one has his city name here as a team name. So it's like a bit structure or a different structure to it just from the beginning, and I think we should build on that and not just force it to be or to fit like the stereotype sport stuff, because as I said, esport is also not like that, and it works great with esport. There are millions of viewers of it, so I think it's more like a selling point than just downgrade it and force it to be, because no one basically loses anything from it. You can still use your last name if you like, so it's not.
Yeah, numbers.
I will say the only team that I know of that even has a city name is Nashville Phantoms, and they're relatively new. They just recently, and I guess we do too, technically, because we're the Paducah Boys, but PBZ isn't exactly a city name in it. But
it's just an area we started out of and had a good ring to it, and plus we spell boys with a Z on the end, so I mean, just kind of puts our own little twist to it.
A little bit of spice.
We used to do that as well.
And Monk said everybody knows the number 10 or 12. You have to own that number, and people will remember. Look at football. Yeah, I agree. Certain players, like if I think of 23, the first number or first sports character that comes to mind when I say 23 is Michael Jordan. Off the go. It's the first person I think of anytime I hear 23.
All I'm going to say is, Caleb, if you're still watching, we're fighting over number 8. I don't care. We're fighting over number 8.
And the numbers, too, is like an individuality, too. I mean, see guys with like, I don't know, it could be like 2 zeros and a 1 or 666 or just different random kind of 3-digit numbers and stuff like that. And you can almost get an identity within that. I mean, I'm boring number 14. I mean, most of us just have normal numbers. Opposed to like Pops, he pulls out the old school one with a 00. But numbers in the individuality as well is something to think on.
Yeah, I think it's maybe a bit too early to force teams to have like numbers on the jerseys and also on the arms, because like when you want to go to an event and it's like possible to sign up for that, pretty hard to have like such professional jerseys, but I can definitely see that being a rule that you have to have like numbers and that they can't change with the tournament or with like the player over the season, so you can like follow that a bit easier.
I see if Freeland maybe bust out while you were talking. He said, "Nah, bro, you never had it. That's why yours says 0." Technically, Caleb says 8 and mine says 08. So I guess we can coexist. That's funny.
He had you on that.
Yeah, he beat me to it. It's all right. If that's the person I have to fight with for my number, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I will gladly share the number with my good friend.
Yeah, the number says a lot. But I mean, we already got ours on there. We wanted to put ours on our jersey. I mean, we all just, when we started doing jerseys, our first gen ones, I mean, we just pick a number. What number you want, kind of.
Phil says I'm number 100 because I keep it 100.
Five. My childhood.
All right, so I guess this is just going to be an archive for everybody coming in and claiming their numbers in the chat, because just about everybody's dropping it. They want to let everybody know they're marking their territory. Just go ahead and.
No one can challenge me for the 5. That's for sure.
Yeah, king of the 5.
Yeah, I get challenged. I actually didn't know about it. My call sign kind of just started. I've had it.
Year and a half now?
Yeah, I've had it a good while, and SS does tournaments called Steve QB. That's what their tournaments are called, and it's like for a while I was getting hit up, like people like, you get involved with SS? I'm like, nah, man. And I thought for a second, because I was learning about what he had going on. I was like, man, this dude done stole my damn name, like. But no, he had it first. I gotta give it that, but I didn't know about it, so I was like, I'm not changing my damn name. It's just not gonna happen. I'm just gonna keep it what it is. It's kind of too late, and I don't want to change it. Infamous Venom said, I'm definitely 88.
Oh God.
That's underline. Yeah.
Yeah.
Inside
You can be
joke.
88. Yep. You
can
be
have
88 all you want. You can have it.
It's there in the number.
Though if you know, you know. That's all I'm
Yeah,
gonna say.
if you know,
if
you know.
you know. Oh man. Challenging people for owning the number. All right, I can already see it. There's going to be a I want the number challenge, just a 1v1 series. Winner takes the pink slip for the number.
I think we got a new game mode, new Fight Night edition.
Hey, I know this is something I've wanted to start in our group chat, and I'm going to pass it around to everybody. We should all implement this. For those of you that use any kind of messaging platform for your teams that have nicknames, you should start a one-on-one challenge, and whoever wins the one-on-one gets to put the other one's name in the group chat. We used to do that whenever I played some trading card games growing up, and if you beat somebody that was in the group chat with you, you got to change their nickname for the week. It's funny as hell. So,
well, and that just gave me the thought too, talking about squaring off for these numbers. What do you think about what they got going on with Fight Night?
dude, Fight Night's badass.
Well, that's exactly what I was talking about. I like the format. I'm not really would play it myself because I don't like the CQB environments that much anymore. Like, put me in a 1v1 tournament on a Speedsoft field or SpeedQB stylish field, I'm in, but not in there really. But I like it, and also the build-up is great. But this is to me like what I said, that goes more into a like combat tournament style or combat competition style, and it's totally fine. Like, I'm not shitting on that, but personally to me, I'm more for the sport, and I think it has to separate, like, in a way. So you have that on one side, and it is addressing more also to milsimers or milsim type-ish people, and on the other hand you have the real sport, which is like full training for that. And I think at the moment they are kind of coexisting under the same name in a way, that people are not sure what is, and because they are sponsoring this and then they're also sponsoring that and hosting this and that. But I think on the longer term, and we will see some changes to that to make it more clear, to make it more obvious what is what, and then you can choose what you want to play, and everything is totally fine, whatever you decide. But overall I like the format and the whole build up to that, what they are doing there.
See, that's something I'm really enjoying. I hear a really a common thing with y'all's mindset over there, and I love it that I keep hearing the word training, training. I keep hearing that, and that mindset right there. Really, I love that you actually train for what you're doing, and takes it to that, what you're just saying, take it to that sport level, opposed to just being, it's Saturday warrior, whatever you want to call it, or anything like
Weekend
that.
warrior.
Weekend warrior, other than just shooting your friend and taking that to that next level. And that's just good to hear. You know what I mean? I wish we would see more of that here, of people that are actually like, mandatory. Hey, as a team, this is what we're going to do. We're going.
Hang
to
on
practice,
now, Steve. Hang on. I just want to say that we talked about this a few podcasts ago, and me and Esmond and Tristan and Braden were all like, "Hey, let's start some training."
No. You
were like, "Fuck that."
No. What they're talking about is pumping iron, doing things like that. That's a lot different than running, just practice runs, training for this. Like, I'm not, man, I don't see the justification of trying to go burst my forehead vein lifting 250. No, I don't. I think it's the wrong muscles. I think it's the wrong thing. But running plays or cardio and things like that, I mean.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff. Before we get too far from what Fivves was just saying about like the combat sport versus Speedsoft, I think, like you said, they're trying to coexist, and I could see where, for the sport growth, definitely changing it up to be not necessarily like the fight night had to be changed up, but having some kind of other largely hyped, like 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 style of Speedsoft tournaments on Speedsoft fields would be cool to see. And I think that's another thing we should talk about with the global rule set we discussed, is like, should there be a standardization for like minimum field layout, or like a certain number of backline bunkers, or the certain specifications for snake, like a minimum and maximum length, or what. Like, there's just so much stuff, because I mean, sure, you want every field to be a little bit different, but is there, if it becomes like an official sport and we want to see a growth, is that something that's going to have to be regulated, is like field layout?
Yeah, I'm definitely up for that. I think it's a bit hard to change it before every tournament, like NXL are doing, but it's also easier to change sub-air layout than changing with hard covers. But in Real Strike, the flow is like 1 year or each year a new layout. And since we started, it got better with every year because all of the experience we gained. And I would love to see you playing on the same field I am playing, with the same measurements of the bunkers, and also on the field size, to not worry about something like SS Airsoft being super small and all that. So I would like to see you playing the exact field I'm playing, and then there will be like globals, and you guys win your stuff, we win our stuff here, so we qualify, and then we meet up. It doesn't matter if it's in the USA, it's in Europe or Australia, or Brazil or wherever. We're all playing kind of the same layout, and I want to see your take on that snake side, or your take on that plexi side, and how you are doing breakouts. And you will be watching our live streams and see, okay, Second to None is doing like that way, ATSB is doing like that way, and I'll be watching your live streams and saying, oh, this guy has a complete different like take on that. And I think if that goes on and kind of like hype each other up, I think then maybe like half a year or quarter year it's needed to change the field, but that's like somewhere in the future. I think having it somewhere similar all over the world is super interesting.
Yeah, and I think the first thing that would need to happen is some kind of regulation for just the general field size, not even bunker related, because we see various different widths and lengths of fields, and I think locking that in as a requirement for the sport would be definitely beneficial.
Yeah, so at the moment, what I know, that Real Strike has like the official measurements to that, when you want to say that. So it's a quote unquote tier 1 field, and Real Strike Arena in Australia, which is also named Real Strike, which is super cool, is having the same measurements and is working on having the same layout, the same bunker measurements
that would
to
be
fit
awesome.
that.
That's
and
insane.
I mean, it's just putting in some work,
Right.
and then you can have it too. Like, it's not the highest or most difficult work to do to fix that, and building like a arena around everything else. Okay, that might be something different, but that's not needed. Like, you just need some turf in the best way, and then some bunkers there, and arrange them the same at the same layout, and there you go. And then you can come easily to us, and we can come to you and experience the same quality, and don't worry about like needles sticking out of the floor.
Yeah, no kidding.
And
No
other
kidding.
crazy stuff. And this also goes for like the way of reffing. I want to be sure that when I commit to a huge journey, that the reffing is also like somehow on the same quality. And that's definitely something Real Strike or Monk, they are working on that to achieve that. And Australia is doing a great job. And I think, like as I said before, with the commitment you guys are showing and how fast the East Side scene is growing, it's just a matter of months or maybe like a year, and then we are talking completely different, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm going to not let it get lost in the comments. Doc asked, Steve, when are you coming to check out the Northeast? Whew, bro, that's a commitment. That's my team rides all the way to that. I couldn't do it as a solo or nothing like that, but there's eventually going to be a point we'll start going further and further. Those are, I mean, big commitments like that. Those are, 10, 12-hour drives are... That's something we'd want to stay out a few days to be at.
Yeah, we definitely have to plan that out.
Man.
It's really difficult when you've got the 10 or 12 guys to plan a trip that long. It's definitely something we have to plan a few months out in advance. But it's doable. It's definitely something that we haven't really discussed, but I think we should put it on the table to talk with the team for sure. Backpacking onto the referees thing, I think, like we discussed, the standardization of fields helping out refs, that it not only helps out the refs, but it also makes having things like the ref clinics possible. Then you can actually train your refs to not like we said way back in the podcast. They're not just refs that are there to say, "Hey, we had refs." They're refs that are actually involved in the sport and actually give a shit.
Yeah, it's like, or here at least, it's starting to become a team in itself. Obviously, they're not playing, but without them, you can't run tournaments.
Yeah.
So they are so like needed, and they need to be valued as so. So I think creating like a little team spirit around that and giving them also like some identity in a way will definitely help, because there are always people who are like, oh well, I'm more into filming than actually playing, so they are helping on the content side, and we need people as well who like to have a fair game and to commit to that, and then you can be a star in the ref scene. So just what Monk said, like if there's gonna be a tournament in the US, probably there will be refs flying over. Not to judge on your refs or anything, but I think the level we have here is pretty high. And also when we played in Italy, for example, the refs were like debatable, but just watch Junkie's video and then you know. But we explained them where to look, where to stand, and where you get the most hits as a ref, like to see the hits on players and everything. And that's the whole idea, I think, behind such an idea, to go somewhere else and advising and helping every local scene to get on our level. It's not that we just want to live in our bubble here. No, we want to spread it worldwide here. And it's like everyone should profit from the work we already have done here. It's not like that we want to be an elite, whatever. It's just like we want the same quality everywhere.
See, and that's what the culture should be about.
Let everybody eat.
That's the whole thing that I don't understand with a lot of what goes on between the states, and it's even within the East Coast, man. Like there's just, it always seems like every team just wants to shit on each other for no reason. It's like, why can't we all just like enjoy the sport, help one another, help the communities? Like, we're not getting anywhere being assholes to new guys. Like, that's not what you want. I mean, don't get me wrong. You want to be the best team, you want to beat everybody, but you don't have to be a prick while you do it. Like,
I agree with that.
It's definitely eye-opening to see. This chair just about broke on me. It's definitely eye-opening to see how much love the European scene has for the States. Like, it's crazy to me.
So Monk says we definitely try to come to the U.S. and it will be amazing to organize a big tournament in the U.S.
Oh yeah, that's exciting.
There you go.
So
that is exciting.
Yeah, that alone, man. I have no doubt people are going to flock to it. You give enough planning, definitely that, the right spot, man, people are going to flock to it. Because there's so many people that are craving this. I mean, there really are, and there's so much potential, man. And I think a lot of teams want to break out from being just the hobby, and just kind of take it further. And it just seems restricted sometimes. I think that right there, though, would make a serious dent for us in the States.
It's not only going to bring more people in and make more people want to play the sport, but the people that are already involved, it's going to be like, okay, this is getting serious. Like, we've got people traveling from other countries coming to play with us and show us the way of what it's like to be for real about this. Like, let's lock it in. Let's figure this out. Yeah, I think that in the next year we'll see a huge change, not only our scene in our area, but all over the States of people starting to get more committed. Especially, if we have some form of league or division where people have something to fight for. It's not just showing up and winning maybe a weekend tournament if you make a good run. Like, you've got to play weekend after weekend after weekend to keep your spot, and you're actually have something to fight for. And it's not only with just your team's performance, but also being able to keep your spot on your team. We talked about that with Junkie on that cast. It's like, when the sport gets serious, if you're not performing, see you, bud. Like there's more people that want your spot.
You're trying to low-key give me a hint right now, aren't you?
Yeah, fuck you and your flashlights.
Savage! Savage.
Love you, Steve.
I would shoot your ass from the sideline. No, seriously, I agree with that completely. I think a lot of it needed, and I don't want to sound like a groupie on this one, but I think it's easy for, like we was talking about earlier in the beginning of this, or really throughout this, y'all seem to have a really well-oiled machine. Y'all got it going in a direction that's working. And I think that's a lot of what we needed over here, or need still to continue, is someone to follow. Someone to show us which direction to go. Because, there's been plenty of times, I at least speak with my team, but we're only just one team, and we've literally been, toss our hands up. What direction do we do? We're all wanting to do something, and it's like, I got nothing I can do. So it's nice to have somebody to follow, and it's not like, we're trying, I guess actually it is. It's we want what y'all got. We do. Straight up. And I think I could speak for most people that's watching, or anybody that, we played with, or I know. Some want to be just a weekend warrior. Some want to be competitive. And I think if people have that nudge, I think it'll really explode. I think this year it has some great potential. And Monk, seriously, that could be really explosive for the entire community. I really hope that y'all are able to do something like that. We'll see. Yeah,
I want to pick on what Mark or Speedsoft Australia said. All it needs is one team that takes it super seriously and doing great with that, and then others follow. And first we had like teams playing in their local Speedsoft scene, beating everyone there, like posting crazy on Instagram. Then they come to Real Strike, play a SpeedQB tournament there, and completely get like destroyed within seconds. And that's like when you see if someone is really a sportsman and wants to get better and sees that, okay, shit, what happened? And then they start analyzing that. And as soon as you make that step, you are in. Like, then you are a sportsman.
Yeah.
Or, like, it just happened a couple of times that people were like, nah, that's not for me, and we will never see them again. But then you don't need them as a community. The moment for me personally, I think for almost every EU team, also including Second to None, was at our first tournament, and it was not Real Strike at that point, it was somewhere else in the Netherlands. We trained there for like 2 or 3 months before the tournament. We were invited to play there and test everything, and we really had that kind of gunfighter mentality, because we were influenced by the SYG LA scene. And then there was one team mostly never heard of from the UK. I always already talked about them. Showed up, full paintball experience. They played at the highest league, some of them, and very talented. And the way they dominated the field and how they destroyed everyone, it was like mind-blowing. It was so crazy. The atmosphere at that tournament was crazy, and like they really showed everyone what to do in order to play like that. And like from their teams started to think about that, and we are still in the process. There's like new teams coming in wearing weird shit and think it's like easy to sweep through on a SpeedQB field, but then they play tournaments and they get destroyed. But then they play like for a year now in the first div, and now they are at the same mindset level as we are, and that's really great to see such a development in the sport. And yeah, it only basically needs one team who sets the bar high, and then you will follow. Even if you lose at that point, then you want to be better than them, and so you are following them.
Yeah, I can definitely say that for our team, we're not anywhere near the level of likely any of the teams in the European scene. But I know that whenever one moment that definitely gave a lot of the guys on our team like,
I think I know exactly what you're about to say.
We went to the HTK field the weekend before the Speedsoft or the East Coast EQB finals to train with Revelation, and which their home field is HTK. That's who Harrison plays for, and they had several practice sessions, including with SYG, at the HTK facility, and we went up there and we got all our gear together, got up on the breakout wall. We're like, all right, hell yeah, let's do this. Like we're about to play in the East Coast finals. Like we're about to show out. Horn blows, and we just got our asses handed to us. Round after round after round after round. And this went on for an hour. And finally, Jason, the owner of HTK, and I guess you could call him the coach for Revelation, he blew the horn. He goes, all right, all of y'all get over here. And he sat us down. And that speech right there lasted probably what felt like 30 minutes, but was probably about 5. And he sat down and gave us the rundown on what we were doing wrong, what we needed to change, how we were going to be a competitor. And that was just like the moment where it was like, all right,
click.
It's time to just, it was like Steve said, it was just a click. And we got out and we practiced for 2 more hours, and by the end of it, we were neck and neck with them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just like, you got to have that one team that wants to bring people up. And then, like I said, the community thing. If Jason hadn't have done that and he just let his team sit there and beat the snot out of us for another hour or 2, we probably would have just gave up. I mean, I'm going to be real, like, dude, we suck. Like, we just need to go home.
And we had to adjust accordingly. There's been a few times we've had to do that. Our first tournament ever, our first round, we got our ass stomped our first round ever. and then it's like, I mean, we say things even to this day. It's like, I mean, he uses the term "lock it up" like all the time. If there's something we do, we have to adjust quickly, figure out what it is, and on the spot adjusting. Because I mean, some teams, I mean, and we've learned that I don't care if it's a brand new team, do not underestimate them at any level. Play them like they're
the thing about that is if they're a new team, they're going to do weird shit. Weird shit
you don't expect. Yeah, and it's definitely adjusting accordingly to that. And I mean, I figure no better way to, especially, I mean, I would love to play y'all, love to play second to none. It's literally, I'm okay with getting the ass whooped because I want to play people. That's how you get better, is when you play the better teams. You just keep playing and learn better and keep doing better.
And like we talked about before this last tournament, Steve, you know, unfortunately, because of the distance it is to a field for us, which we're currently working on that situation about getting practices in, but we don't get a lot of time to practice as a team. And so one thing that we've started saying is, like, at these Nashville tournaments, you know, it doesn't matter if we're winning the matches. It doesn't matter if we end up walking away with the championship. If you didn't show up and learn something that day, then the day was pointless.
Facts.
You got to show up, find something to work on, fix it.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, you'd like to do that in training so you can focus on getting the win there, but when that's all you got to do something. And even then, even when you do get to practice, you still need to implement something and walk away with some kind of personal or even team growth from the event.
Yeah, it's having to, you know, we almost practice within a tournament, and that's unfortunate kind of thing, but we'll get that changed. Yeah,
but I mean that sounds great, and like, to be honest, that's the first step made, and you just have to build on that, and then you can get there as well. Like, I experienced that with my team, even though we had like a couple of roster changes over the years, unfortunately. So we aren't actually at the level where I wanted to be, but now we have like a team that I know will stick together, and we will develop so much over that year. And I see it with other teams as well. Like, when there was first div introduced last year, there were teams I never heard before, and they played weird shit. Like, they got destroyed by like more experienced teams, and now we are sharing training slots with them, and most of the time we are still owning them, but like the level and the way they are playing is so similar to us that you really can see that just 1 year makes such a big difference. And if they go out now playing against new teams with complete without experience, they will destroy them and have kind of the same feeling. And to me, Tyson, the captain of Legion from the UK, was that guy who gave all the advice how to train and like what to focus, and like really brought that thinking to me. And now I want to share it with other teams as well. So it's not like that I want to exclude that, because if, like, my thinking is, if I exclude that, and eventually everyone will find out anyways, but if they don't find out, I will just shoot plebs all day, and then it's not like, then your championship is not worth anything. Yeah. But if you compete on the highest level, it's really like, yeah, it has a value to it if you beat second to none. Like, I still wait for the day we beat second to none. Like, we were close a couple of times now, but still, like, we are missing that little bit. But once we do that, that's like, that means something to me. And if you're like just sitting at the top, not giving a shit about anything, and the scene is not developing, and the teams are not like coming up with better plays, it's boring, and also boring for you. So yeah, I really try to pass on the knowledge as well. And if someone asks me something, what can I do better on the field, I'm always willing to help, because I got helped as well.
Pass the knowledge down. Hand down the wisdom.
It's the way to be. Yeah, for sure.
I see you in there, Blue. What's up, man?
Doesn't feel like we've been on here for 2 hours.
It doesn't. I figured conversations would get going good, too.
and we have been. We've been discussing some really good things. Some super good things.
It's crazy how we always find something to talk about for so long, because like we're talking like for 4 hours a week, and yet somehow we still, I mean, we repeat quite a bit, but there's still just like so much.
Well, and that kind of goes back, you know, I'm quite excited to have you on, and like when I was able to have Demi on too, it's like, because we get that perspective from y'all, man. I mean, it's nice to see, and we have other guys from around here we get to talk to, and we're all on the same kind of train of thinking. You know what I mean? So it's good to see outside train of thinking, and conversation with you today, and you know, when we spoke to Junkie not long ago, has been it's tossed in our own minds. We've already had conversations of things we wanted to do different, things we needed to address, just what do we need to change as a team, and I'm appreciative of you coming on with us. I mean, yeah, I see it. Monk even said it. He says 4 a.m. is time to find some sleep, and I would agree. And I guess I'll wrap that up at that for Monk. Monk, thank you for always being with us. Speeds Off Australia, always thank you. All the rest of y'all, Houdini and Rex and Phil and all of y'all, man, truly thank y'all for coming on here with us and joining. And publicly again, I will say it to you, Fivves. Thank you for being on here with us. Really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. It was an honor, and I really like to give my thoughts out.
Hopefully, maybe one day in the future, after this tournament you got going on over there, maybe we can get you back on or something. Tell us about it.
Yeah, sure.
And we'll kind of go from there. But for all y'all in the chat, man, if y'all missed anything, it has been a 2-hour conversation. It'll be back up here in a few minutes. You're more than welcome to rewatch it. There's a lot of good topics we talked about in here tonight, so I'd suggest maybe doing it. Get some good coverage. Got good insight on things. Really good topics. For y'all in the chat, though, I will say goodbye to y'all. I appreciate y'all. If y'all want to, tune in to Thursday on the PVZ podcast at 7, if y'all are wanting to. Don't know what all we're going to talk about there yet, but we will. Mason, you got anything to say, or Fivves, you want to say anything to them, or?
Go ahead first.
Screw your flashlights. That's it.
Oh, I love it. Go out with a punch.
No, for me, just thank you for having me, and also keep doing what you are doing. Mark asked who's the spearhead of the scene. I think you guys are definitely doing a good job. Also, Slaughter Gang is doing a good job and is really outstanding to us here. Like, motivate other teams, motivate your guys, and just try to reach a higher level in your team, and then others will follow, and you will set the bar. And yeah, probably if Monk said that, we might see us this year if everything goes well.
Yeah. I'm gonna be cheesing like a little girl. I'll be cheesing under my dumbass the entire time, like just a big grin on my face. But yeah, I'm gonna end this out. Catch y'all next time on the podcast. Y'all be good.